What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Patrik Laine's comments. I believe it was a couple days ago now. I've been away for a couple days. I'm kind of burnt here. I was on vacation, so a lot of this hockey news and stuff like that is stuff I'm trying to catch up on. But Patrik Laine had an interview with Chris Johnston, and they were in Finland, I believe. Yeah, the Finnish Alumni All-Star Game is where they were having their conversation. Now, there's a reason why I'm making this video, and it's because I'm trying to give both sides here, because I think a lot of people are freaking out about, oh, Laine's not going to be with Winnipeg next season. And then there's also a group that says, oh, well, he'll 100% be with Winnipeg next season. I'm trying to be this medium here to give both sides of, the conversation, because when I first seen these comments, I was like, okay, well, I'll just make a video on the comments. But then I really wanted to watch his body language and the way that he was, putting together his sentences in the interview. And by the way, Patrik Laine's English is absolutely fantastic now. The guy sounds like he was born in North America. I believe I've seen some comments saying that, and it's so true. So kudos to him. That's amazing. Very well done for Patrik Laine there to get his English top notch there, because that's not easy to do. So, anyways. This Chris Johnston interview, of course, was amazing because Chris Johnston is one of the best in the business. I'm always going to pay attention to what he's saying. He asked some really good questions to Patrik Laine, and the first thing that kind of raised an alarm to a lot of people, and probably to a lot of Winnipeg Jets fans, was that he was confident that he'll be playing somewhere. He's confident in his game through the first 3 seasons of his NHL career that he'll be playing somewhere. And it's like, okay, well, I know you're an RFA, you don't have a contract, but you are an RFA. You're not a UFA, so people were like, okay, somewhere, is that in Winnipeg? And Chris Johnston asked him, is that somewhere going to be in Winnipeg? And he says, well, you never know. It's a business. You've got to be prepared for anything. Laine said Friday, which is good. And he said, but yeah, you never know where you're going to play next year, so I'm just prepared for anything. Now, if you look at a lot of the big name RFAs that are around, you haven't really heard anybody say, well, you don't know where you're going to play next year, I'm just prepared for anything. There have been a couple hints to that, so I'm not going to go too far into this because I feel like Laine is just saying what he has to say. He's a restricted free agent. But the first red flag for me a little bit was somewhere. And I'm like, okay, he didn't really have to say that. The follow-up question is where this got really interesting, because Chris Johnston said, well, do you want to still play for the Jets? Is that the destination? Is that the place that you want to be next year? Of course, he didn't say all of that, but it's basically what he's getting at. Do you want to play for the Jets? And he said, Laine said, well, I've got nothing bad to say about Winnipeg. It's been great so far, but you never know. So that's kind of my comment. So it's like, okay, now we're starting to dig a little deeper here, because he's not saying I love Winnipeg, I want to play there my whole career, it's been my home, all that. He just said, I've got nothing bad to say about Winnipeg. It's been good so far, but you never know. There's 2 sides to this. There's one, like I said, where he did not say, well, I love it, it's my home, whatever, and people are like, well, why wouldn't he say that? But then there's the other side where they're going, okay, you can understand he's not saying that because he still has a contract to negotiate, and none of these RFAs want to come out and just say, well, I love it here, I want to be here my whole career, this is my home, this is the greatest place to play, because then it might hurt the negotiations a little bit. So there are 2 sides to this where it's like, yes, Laine is saying, it's great and whatever, but I'll be playing somewhere, like raising some red flags to Jets fans. And then there's the other side where it's like, okay, we have to understand this is a process, and it's like, he doesn't have to say that he loves Winnipeg and all this other stuff for him to be safe with Jets fans and coming back to the Jets next season. So, of course, we all know that this is a huge conversation, because Laine is in a weird spot, because if we look at his numbers, he is only 21, 6'5", 200 pounds, big winger that can score lots of goals, and he's shown that early in his career. Right off the bat in his rookie season, 36 goals in 73 games played, 64 points. Dynamite. Next season, in a full season, career year, 70 points, 44 goals and 26 assists. The next year, another full season for him, 30 goals, 20 points, 50 assists, where his production dropped off a little bit. Now, the red flag, I think, for the Jets is they know he can score in his sleep. He can score lots of goals. But if you look at his 5-on-5 numbers, his even strength numbers, it's not so hot. He doesn't score a ton when he's playing on even strength. He doesn't score a lot when he's playing a 5-on-5 game. Half of his goals basically last season were scored on the power play. Now, that's okay, but at the same time, the Jets, I don't think, want to pay him premium, top-of-the-line money for him to just be a scoring winger that can score lots of points on the power play, which, to me, I honestly don't think it matters. I think the Jets should be getting this contract done because I think he can score 50-plus goals next year. But I also see the side where, as a fan of good contracts, I also see the side where I'm like, okay, well, you can't really just overpay just for goal scoring. So I'm kind of in the middle here where I think the Jets can overpay a little bit because I don't think Laine is going to get worse. I think he's going to get much better in the goal scoring department, and you kind of need that. Considering they've lost a lot already this season, like, you got to remember, Kyle Connor is still unsigned. He's a restricted free agent, and they're going to have to get him done. He puts up a lot of points. He and Laine combined for 64 goals last season. So, considering that, them both being RFAs without contracts right now, Jacob Trouba, Tyler Myers, Ben Chariot, of course, I always say his name wrong, and Brandon Tanev, all those guys are gone. They've gotten rid of those guys. The biggest ones there are Trouba and Myers, two of their point-producing horse defensemen back there who aren't exactly the best defensively, but still put up a ton of numbers. And, you know, that kind of is important when you're putting together a team. So you have to get Laine and Connor locked up because you're not trying to lose even more of your roster. You're not trying to get rid of more of the firepower that you've had for the last little bit, because the Jets are a scary team. And with Laine next year, I think he'll take another step. He can score a lot of goals. I really think he's going to have 50 to 55 goals next year. And I don't think that it's going to be that hard. But the problem is he needs to learn how to score like that on his even strength numbers. Because if you look in his past, his last 3 years, he's not scoring a ton even strength. And I think the Jets also want him to improve his not being a amazing defenseman. I didn't know how to say that because I think every team expects your forwards to back check and be good defensively, but I think they want him to improve over time defensively because 5-on-5 he's like non-existent defensively. He's not good. He just doesn't help at all. And that's not me being disrespectful. You can look at these numbers. It's all over Twitter right now because everybody's talking about Laine right now. His 5-on-5 numbers just aren't good. They aren't, and that has to improve. But again, when you score as much as he does, you can kind of make up for it. But with a drop-off in goals last year, even though he scored 30 goals, I can't believe people are saying he was terrible, which is ridiculous. There are people out there that think because he dropped off from 44 to 30 goals that he had a bad season. He still had 50 points. So it's a tough medium for the Jets right now. Do they overpay a little bit, or do they try to get him to a shorter-term deal, which I think is the solution? Go for like a 2-year deal and hope that he'll take that, although I don't think they will. I think that the Laine camp would be more comfortable in like a 4 or 5 year deal, which, again, the Jets would not be comfortable with because then he's going to unrestricted free agency. So they really want this contract to be probably a short-term deal. Hell, maybe the Jets even try to get it under for a 1-year deal just as a prove-yourself contract, even though he's going to prove himself, and then he can cash in later. But it's very confusing. I think a lot of teams right now are going to be picking up their phones and at least inquiring on him because who knows, maybe an offer sheet is still a possibility for Patrik Laine. I know a lot of people joked around about the Montreal Canadiens doing it, but there's some teams that could really consider it because Laine's comments are not exactly in favor of the Jets right now. If you look at it big picture, a lot of people are more concerned about these comments than they are happy about the comments if you're a Jets fan. I think that a lot of people are worried that he was pausing, taking his time a little bit on his responses and not exactly giving a full-on, okay, Winnipeg, I love you, I'm going to be staying here. Which, again, I have to keep saying it's understandable because he's in contract negotiations. But the Jets have, I believe, $17 million. Yeah, they have around $17 million in projected cap space. They have holes to fill, of course. Connor and Laine have to get done. And their blue line is taking a little bit of a hit. I don't think anybody expects Neil Pionk to come in here and be amazing for them because I mean, he was just part of the Trouba trade. I don't think anybody's expecting that's going to be a good Trouba replacement or anything like that. So they've got holes to fill, and I think they will fill them quite well, to be honest. But who knows? This Laine negotiations is very confusing to me, because after this interview, I think it's pretty wide open. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's get to 7,000 subscribers. I appreciate you as always, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.